Baruch Dayan Ha'emet, we praise the Judge of Truth. If you have a cell phone or a pager, I don't think anybody has a pager anymore, but if you have a cell phone, turn it off or set it to stun so that we begin with Psalm 121. Esai enai el haharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai oseh shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan shomer Yisrael. Adonai shomrecha, Adonai tzilcha al yad yaminecha. Yomam hashemesh lo yakeka v'yarech belayla. Adonai yishmarcha mikol ra, yishmor et nafshecha. Adonai yishmar tzidcha v'oecha, me'ata v'ad olam. I lift up my eyes to the mountains, from whence cometh my help. My help comes from the Lord, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way, your protector will not slumber. See, the protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. The Lord is your guardian, he is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. The Lord will guard you from all harm. He will guard your soul, your going and your coming, now and forever. Death has taken your beloved, our beloved, Harriet Gross. Chaya Surah Bat Yisrael was her Hebrew name. Friends grieve in their darkened world. In their silence there is lamentation. In their tears there is loneliness. Lost in their sorrow may they find the presence of loving friends. Hear them, O God, and be with them. For Harriet's love that united so many people in life, and which death cannot sever. For her companionship that we shared along life's path, and which continues through the tenderness of memory. For the gifts of her heart and mind that brought joy and happiness, and is now a precious remembrance. For all of these and more we give our thanks to God. It is a time of grief. And so we listen once again to the voice of our sacred scriptures from Sefer Tehillim, from the book of Psalms. It brings us the ever-new message of God's nearness. It tells us of our kinship with the Creator, in light as in darkness, in joy as in sorrow, in life as in death. Together, please let us recite the 23rd Psalm in the English. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It's a privilege to call forward Rosalind to speak words of eulogy for her dear mother.
I want to thank everyone for being here tonight or today. Mom loved her friends and her families. She was so appreciative of all the birthday cards she got this past December. It meant so much to her. And as Mom always said recently, and I'll leave with this, she always said hugs and kisses. So thank you for being here.
And now from the grandchildren's generation, Alex is going to come forward, and Lisa, I believe. Emily, Lisa, different name, different person, I apologize. So Emily, I hope I recouped.
We're all kind of the same.
Yeah, well, we've all been called worse than by our first names.
Yeah, this is true. Good morning. So my grandma Harriet will definitely always be remembered as loving and generous and kind and incredibly sassy. I know every single person in this room could probably think of a memory, either from the past year or a couple of years ago, where she said something, either in a really funny greeting card that she found just for the right person to send in the mail, or in person. I remember a year or two ago, she asked me whether or not I cared more about style than I cared about what I actually looked like, which was just like such a perfect moment of her. But she also had the most generous heart. When I think about the way in which she lived her life, there was never anyone that she wanted to be hungry, or anyone that she wanted to be cold or in need, whether it was sewing the dolls for children, even though she couldn't feel her fingers, whether it was making gallons and gallons of her famous matzo ball soup, or buying us clothes that we really wanted, or giving us a car. She was completely selfless. And when I think about the phrase Tikkun Olam, it's her. That's how she tried to pretend that she was too cool for that, but she really embodied that every day. And I know that I want you to know, if you don't, that each of you are really important to her. And similar to what Aunt Roz said, she loved going through the address book with me as her memory was going, and made sure she could talk to me about every single person in her life, because each person made such an imprint on her, and it was so important to her that you were part of it. And I think the greatest thing today is I know she's at peace, because I know God's rewarding that really kind and sassy heart that we love so much. And one of the things that she said the most over her last couple of months is that she would stop in the middle of something and look at you and say, "Emily, I'm so loved." And I know that that's how she left. And I'm just so grateful that we get to celebrate her life today. So thank you for coming.
Hi, everyone. When I was asked yesterday if I'd say a few words, I've been trying to think about what to say. So I thought about Grandma, and I just kept coming back to all the trips we took here to Cleveland from Albany, and all the time we spent at Grandma's house, and how many great memories we have of being here. And the one thing that just kept coming to my mind is, no matter when we arrived, whether it be 4 in the afternoon or 1 in the morning, she always had a batch of her chocolate chip cookies waiting for us. That was actually the first care package I received when I went off to college. And I think probably for all the grandchildren. She loved every one of her grandchildren so much, and we're going to miss her. Grandma, we love you. So.
And to all of those words spoken as a prayer, let us say Amen. As we gather to mourn and comfort one another, we gather to eulogize and honor your dear Harriet Gross. She graced this earth for more than 89 years. We're poorer for her loss. We're richer for the memories and the lessons, the teachings she has bequeathed unto us. Yesterday evening, as we sat and talked about her delicious cooking and baking, I could imagine her hands, and I could visualize, the food on the table. Her hands nourished and sustained you, sometimes through food and other times through sewing. Her grandfather was a tailor, and she could sew, and apparently she saved Teresa's wedding dress before the wedding, right? Like one half of it wasn't done. And Larry's like, yeah, she fixed the whole thing before the wedding. It's a good thing. I was moved by parallels in the Torah portion, the first one in Sefer Shemot, in the book of Exodus. Among the many themes, and when you go now and read the first few chapters of Exodus, you'll see this. There are women who worked with their hands to nourish and sustain others. So 3 examples. First, the Pharaoh commanded the Hebrew midwives, Shifra and Puah, that when they went to go deliver the Hebrew women to deliver the babies, if it was a boy, they were to kill it, and if it was a girl, they were to let it live. And Shifra and Puah, in the first act of civil disobedience in the Torah, and probably, in the world, defied the Pharaoh's edict, and with their hands they delivered those babies, the boys and the girls, alive. Didn't kill them. Second, the birth of Moses, his mother Yocheved, and his older sister Miriam, after the baby's born, they hid him and fed him and for a little while, and then they put him into a basket, and with their hands they made that basket with pitch and tumen, so put it in the Nile River, hoping that the boy would survive. But with their hands they gave him hopefully a chance at living a life. And then the third one is downriver, the Nile River, Pharaoh's daughter, who the Midrash gives her the name Batya. Batya means daughter of God. She's bathing, and she sees this basket in the reeds, and she pulls it out, and then she raises that boy to be a leader. And those were tough, determined, spirited, opinionated, loving women. And the same can be said for your dear Harriet in so many ways. She was born November 22nd, 1929, here in Cleveland. Her parents of blessed memory, Irving and Jeanette Florman. And she's survived by her younger brother, David, David's wife, Tina, nephews, Michael, Mark, and niece, Kelly. They grew up in Cleveland Heights. Harriet met George at a neighborhood dance. There's a little bit of a machloket, a little bit of a disagreement between the siblings about how this happened, but I'm going to give you a version, and then if it's different, I'll tell you later. So he had just returned from his Army service during World War II, and after their first date, she wasn't sure if he was, good-looking enough, but she decided he was. And Rabbi Cohen of Park Synagogue performed the wedding on January 9, 1950. And they shared a loving and devoted marriage of 42 years at the time of George's death in 1992. And they were blessed with 3 children and 6 grandchildren. I mean, obviously, George didn't see all of this, but they were blessed with these. Roz, her husband Edward, Gary, wife Deanna, Larry, wife Teresa, and the grandchildren Megan, Alex, Lisa, Corey, Emily, and Olivia. And if I missed anybody, it was on purpose, not by accident. Gary and Larry are twins, and they don't really look that much like twins. But I did find out that Gary's older, so yeah, he made sure to let me know that, because I think that you get some extra inheritance or something like that if you're older. She loved Thanksgiving, number 1. And the kids recalled her waking up at 3 in the morning to start cooking. How did they know? Because you could hear the pots and pans banging around in the kitchen. And she loved Passover, number 2. All the food. As you heard, her soup was great. The kids said her matzo balls were the size of softballs and just delicious. And Roz said last year she really enjoyed the Seder that they got to share together there in Albany. She loved chocolate. At the nursing home, that was really like the only way to get her to take her meds. Put them in chocolate. Of course, who among us wouldn't have figured that that's a good way to take your meds? She loved flowers, whether she got them from Roslyn or whether Larry sent them all the way from San Diego. She loved birds. She was a huge Browns fan. She was so we've got the tie. She was a big Browns fan, big Indians fan. Got the kippah. I don't have to wear a serious tie or a kippah for a serious thing for anything. So she loved her children and her grandchildren. As a matter of fact, she's wearing a T-shirt right now that has all of her grandchildren's names on it. Apparently, it's a T-shirt she's had for a while. She loved to play Mahjong. She worked at Sears and had really wonderful relationships there. Retired after about 25 years ago. She retired, but people stayed in touch with her because of the kind of person she was, and she loved to hear from them and get those cards. Her chocolate cakes were legendary in the family, and as Alex was saying, this was something that was a common theme. If you arrived, whether you arrived at 1 in the morning or 12 midnight or whatever, it'd be like a table. It was, oftentimes filled with food, right? Brisket, the soup, the cookies. If it was a marble cake or a chocolate cake, I mean, you're like, how can one person do this? Well, this is what one person did. And it didn't matter when you arrived. She would fill you with food. Eat, S&S in my kid. Make sure the kid eats. Recently, she's been watching a lot of news. That's not good for anybody to watch too much news. It's aggravation. She took care of her mom. Now, they lived in that house in Lyndhurst for 60 years, and George built it. She took care of her mom, Jeanette, moved her into the house, and cooked for her and took care of her. And Jeanette took well to the care which Harriet gave her. Jeanette only lived to be 101. Almost 102, they said. I mean, she took care of her. She moved to Albany in 2014, December. She had a little heart procedure, but it was, as we all know, we get older and our parents get older, or we get older and you need some extra help. And thank God she was able to move to Albany and be near Roz, and they took good care of her. And as Roz said, and I want to just repeat this really, that over the past few months, when you would walk in and see her, she would say, "I need something." You'd go and visit her. She'd go, "I need something." And to the you think she needs something. What does she need? And she would go, "I need something." Hugs and kisses. It's just the most precious thing. I think we could all use some hugs and kisses. And she was a baseball mom. There's a picture of her in Lyndhurst City Hall of her keeping score for the Lyndhurst Baseball League game when Gary and Larry are playing. It's a great picture. I'm sure they'll be able to show you on the phone. It's a great picture. And so she is memorialized on the wall in a picture in the Lyndhurst City Hall for the baseball league there. They also showed a picture of her doing artwork. She was, in some ways in life, people don't color in the lines. And I think there are probably a lot of times in her life she didn't color in the lines. But with the artwork that she was doing, there was in this adult crayon and this adult, art book, she would color these beautiful pictures from the form that's there, and she would color. And actually, she was very good at staying in the lines for that. And they were lovely. It was therapeutic for her. And one of the beautiful things about it is you do something and then you can see the results. Not everything in life do we see the results for. But she has good results, children and grandchildren and friends. She lived a good, long life. And on Wednesday, she breathed her last. Her soul is now at peace. It's a time of rest for her. There's no more deterioration. There's just rest and wholeness and peace. It's just like Shabbat. Shabbat is a time of rest and peace. Her soul is returning to God and to be with the souls of her dear husband, family, and ancestors of our people. We learn this in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, verse 7. The dust returns to the earth as it was, and the spirit returns to God who gave it. We will place the body, which is the vessel for the soul, in the ground with respect and with dignity, and the soul returns to God. God will take good care of her soul. And one day, each of us will go. We'll all go. And when we go, Judaism believes when you breathe your last, your soul goes to a place. A time. It's called Olam Haba. This is a place. Olam Haba, the world to come, is a time. It's a spiritual existence in which God will take care of your soul and our souls and the soul of your dear Harriet. The family is allowing us to send along also an old prayer book with her in the casket. They said she wasn't particularly religious, but this isn't really about her in this case. It's about the providing respectful burial for her and also providing a respectful burial for a prayer book, a holy book of our tradition, because it's a mitzvah to do that as well. So we thank the family very much. You have many, many memories of Harriet, and we give thanks to God for this gift of long life. As you think of her, be kinder and more thoughtful of others. Play a little mahjong, do a little baking, learn how to make some of those things that she made if you don't know already, because those recipes are important. That's lifeblood for the family, the nash, the food. Root for the Indians. Hopefully they can get a little bit more offense. And root for the Browns, and do these things in her loving memory, as well as those many other things that we will do in her loving memory. Be a good friend, be a confidant, be more eager to help and serve others. And so we conclude with words from the first chapter of the book of Job. Adonai Natan, v'Adonai Lakach, Yehi Shem Adonai Mevarach. The Lord hath given, the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. Amen. Ose shalom bimromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'imru yimru amen. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom, Yaseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. May God, who causes peace to reign in the high heavens, cause peace to rain down upon us, upon all Israel, and upon the soul of our dearly departed Harriet Gross, Chaya Surah Bat Yisrael. And let us say, Amen. Please rise for the El Maleh Rachamim prayer. Into your care, O God, we entrust the spirit of Harriet Gross. For you keep faith with your children in death as in life. Sustain us that we may meet with serenity the mysteries that lie ahead, knowing that when we walk through the valley of the shadow of death, you, O God, are with us, a loving friend in whom we put our trust. You are the light of our life, our hope in eternity. El Maleh Rachamim, Shochen Bamromim, Hametzeh Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim U'Tohorim, Kezohar Rakia Masirim, Et Nishmat Chaya Surah Bat Yisrael, V'Halacha L'Olama Ba'al Hara ברחמים. יסתיריה בסתר כנפיו לעולמים. ויצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה, ותנוח בשלום על משכבה. ונאמר Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to our dear Harriet Gross. She has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let her find refuge in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is her inheritance. May she rest in peace, and let us say, Amen. In a moment, the funeral directors will come in and give us directions as we will go in procession to Mount Olive. After the burial, we will be gathering back over at the house of Mark and Cindy Lipman, 2426 Bryan Drive in Beechwood. If you're not going to the grave and you just want to meet us over there, we'll be there in about an hour and 15 minutes or so from now. And then the family will be there until 3 o'clock. And then from 6 to 8, we'll say Kaddish at the grave and we'll say Kaddish at the house. And Harriet will be on the prayer list at our synagogue, Temple Israel Ner Tamid. Our services are Friday night at 7:30. And it'll be our privilege to recite Kaddish for her, whether any family members are in attendance or not. We'll say Kaddish for the whole month. And better than that, the kids in the Hebrew school are going to get reps on the Kaddish, and they're going to say Kaddish for Harriet on Wednesday afternoons. And the kids in religious school on Sunday mornings are going to say Kaddish for Harriet because the kids need reps in the prayers. And her soul gets a little push from when we do the prayers, so it's a privilege to do so. And this concludes our service here at the funeral home.